Jeopardy! And now, here is your host, Kevin J. Callis.
Hello and welcome once again to the one and only interactive pro wrestling game show where you're the contestant.
We're nasty, and that's the way we're always gonna be. And you're going to Nastyville, and I don't think you're coming back.
And as always, I wish you the best of luck. Here are the 5 categories from which you'll be quizzed on in episode 81 of Wrestling Jeopardy. Beginning with, what's that smell? Followed by playing with fire. Our third category is guess the wrestler. Our fourth category is behind the gimmick. And our fifth category is usually chosen by you, the WrestleTrivia community. However, I wanted to recap the year that was, so the fifth category will be trivia about the year 2025.
Hey, I'm breaking the fourth wall! Ha ha!
And that sound means it's time for the 200-point jobber round. What is the jobber round, you ask? Well, it's the easiest round in Wrestling Jeopardy.
Dummy. Yeah.
5 simple questions that you should squash like a jobber.
Oh, no.
And we begin the game with the first clue from What's That Smell, worth 200 points. According to Bret Hart, wrestling this mastodon was like wrestling a cement truck filled with barf. Yes, the mighty power of Vader's BO left a lasting stench on a vast plethora of his opponents. Let's move on to the second clue of the jobber round. Hopefully you don't get burned by this category. It's playing with fire. At WWE's TLC pay-per-view in 2020, this superstar beat down his rival The Fiend and then set his limp body on fire to win the inaugural Firefly Inferno match. Who is Randy Orton? Here comes the first clue from Guess the Wrestler, worth 200 points. This wrestling machine was the first and so far only Olympic gold medalist to ever compete in WWE. One of the greatest of all time, it's true. Who is Kurt Angle? What do you say we go behind the gimmick now? Here's a clue worth another 200 points. The idea to incorporate a Hollywood aspect into this flamboyant character is credited to WWE legend Pat Patterson, who once described a painted-up Dustin Rhodes as a real-life Oscar statuette. Now, the original plan was to make Dustin a modern-day cowboy, but he ultimately decided to carve his own path in professional wrestling as Goldust. And let's finish up the job around with this clue about the year that was 2025. A career-changing win at this past year's Money in the Bank set the stage for an epic cash-in at WWE Evolution by this female superstar. Before taking time off for her pregnancy, I feel like 2025 was going to be Naomi's greatest professional year ever.
We'll get you back up into the ring in just a moment or two for more exciting action.
All right, we're jumping back across the board now and beginning the 400-point round. Here's the second clue overall from the category, What's That Smell? In an episode of the Netflix series WWE Unreal, CM Punk asks this former women's champion if she ever shit herself in the ring. You know, perhaps we're getting a little bit too close of a look behind the curtain. By the way, she never has crapped herself in the ring, just peed a little bit. The correct answer, who is Charlotte Flair? And we're moving on to playing with fire now for 400. In 1991, the WWE hired circus magician Brian LaPalme to teach this returning superstar how to breathe fire. Who is Ricky the Dragon Steamboat? Here comes the third clue of the 400-point round from Guess the Wrestler. As a former 2-time Big East amateur wrestling champion at Seton Hall University, this former WWE Tag Team Champion was one half of the self-dubbed World's Greatest Tag Team. Who is Charlie Haas? Moving on to another clue from behind the gimmick. When Sting underwent his dark character change in 1996, it was heavily inspired by this movie starring the late Brandon Lee. Thanks as well to a suggestion by the late Scott Hall, what is the Crow? And let's finish up the 400-point round now with this clue from the year 2025. This Scottish sensation deserves a standing ovation for his career year, making surprise appearances at the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania 41, plus finally winning the TNA World Championship. Now a member of the WWE roster, Joe Hendry was everywhere in 2025. We're closing in on the halfway point of the game right now. Don't forget, we still have a daily double, a bonus question, and Final Jeopardy. By the way, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button for me and also give this video a thumbs up or leave a comment with your score because, well, it's just a nice thing to do.
Yep.
And we begin the 600-point round now with another clue from What's That Smell? During an appearance on Insight with Chris Van Fleet, this former WWE Women's Champion recalled the infamous flatulence gimmick she portrayed back in early 2012. Talking about how the idea came, not surprisingly, from her boss, Vince McMahon, who is Natalia Neidhart. And here comes another clue from Playing with Fire. Worth 600, wrestling journalist Dave Meltzer awarded the high-profile rematch between Hulk Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior at WCW's Halloween Havoc in 1998 this many negative stars. Primarily botched by the Hulkster after he was supposed to throw fire at Warrior, but instead lit the flash paper in his own face and legit burned his mustache and eyebrows. What is negative 5 stars? And here comes this episode's bonus question. Now, how this works, this clue is probably one of the most obscure, random, useless pieces of wrestling trivia that you could possibly know, but if you do answer it correctly, you will double your score. In this disaster of a match with the Warrior, what was the color of the Bic lighter that the Hulkster had trouble using? What is yellow? All right, we've reached the halfway point of the game now, and here is the 600-point clue from Guess the Wrestler. As an amateur for Oklahoma State, this two-time NWA World Champion became the first Native American to win an NCAA Wrestling National Championship. Deeply proud of his Choctaw and Chickasaw ancestry, no champion exemplified the NWA standard more than Jack Briscoe. Let's go behind the gimmick again. This clue worth 600 points. This character was a Vince McMahon creation the former WWE chairman went to school with, who was somewhat slow but would also suddenly snap. Luke Gallows' first run in WWE was as the Southern intellectually challenged, slack-jawed Festus. And let's finish up the 600-point round now with this clue. John Cena competed in 18 matches in 2025, winning 10, losing 7, and wrestling 1 no contest against this superstar. Ending in a no contest after that no-good Brock Lesnar interfered, there was no winner in the John Cena vs. Sami Zayn match on SmackDown in September 2025. All right, we begin the 800-point round now with another clue. Do you smell it? I smell it. What's that smell? Speaking on Open Thoughts in 2024, Liv Morgan shared her experience about this former tag team partner of hers repeatedly passing gas during matches. Talk about really burying somebody. Who is Valhalla, aka Sarah Logan? Moving on, here comes the second clue of the 800-point round. All right, congrats. You landed on the Daily Double. The category, once again, playing with fire. Place your wager now. All right, time's up. Here's this episode's Daily Double clue. Initially reluctant to fight Kane, The Undertaker had a change of heart after his baby brother locked him inside a casket at this 1998 WWE pay-per-view and set it on fire. This moment at the 1998 Royal Rumble offered a striking visual. All right, make sure you tighten those thinking caps. Here's the 800-point clue from the category Guess the Wrestler. For his amateur achievements, this man-bear was inducted into the North Carolina State Athletic Hall of Fame in 2013. A standout heavyweight for the Wolfpack who unfortunately failed to make waves as a member of the WWE CW roster, who was Sylvester Turkey. Here comes another behind the gimmick clue worth 800 points. Originally played by the legendary Satoru Sayama, this masked wrestling character was inspired by the Japanese manga that went by the same name. Who is Tiger Mask? Closing out the 800-point round now, here's another clue about 2025. Knox Pro, the wrestling promotion and training academy founded by this WWE Hall of Famer, was stripped of its WWE ID designation after the fallout from the viral Raja Jackson incident. Now, obviously, happy to report that Psycho Stu is recovering well after he was assaulted back in August of 2025. However, the correct answer here is Rikishi, who unfortunately wasn't actually present for any of what went down on this fateful night. All right, you've done it. You've hunkered down. You've survived so far. You've made it to the main event.
Slam Jam!
The most difficult round in Wrestling Jeopardy. 5 1,000-point questions guaranteed to put your wrestling knowledge to the test. And we begin with the final clue from What's That Smell? According to Brian Knobs, Adrian Adonis and Roddy Piper helped the Nasty Boys come up with the idea for this signature maneuver. Although Knobs and Sags were billed from Nastyville and they were actually from Allentown, Pennsylvania, these two love to take their opponents to Pity City. Here comes the final clue from Playing with Fire, worth 1,000 points. This manager actually received death threats after he burned Ron Garvin's face with a mysterious cosmic fireball. Sparking an unlikely face turn as Ronnie's kayfabe brother Jimmy Garvin would seek revenge against the Midnight Express and their manager, Jim Cornette. We're on to the final 1,000-point clue from Guess the Wrestler. This NCAA Division II champion for North Dakota State was recruited by the AWA and made his debut in 1983. Boasting one of the most impressive amateur resumes of any professional wrestler, who is Brad Rheingans. All right, now we're on to the final clue from Behind the Gimmick. As an early fan of MMA, The Undertaker helped Charles Wright develop his post-Papa Shango, pre-Godfather Supreme Fighting Machine character of Kama, which actually stands for this. Kama, which is spelled K-A-M-A, stands for Kick Any Man's Ass. And we close out the board now with the final 1,000-point clue. Up next is Final Jeopardy. AEW's third annual All-In pay-per-view was not held at Wembley Stadium in London, England, because this British rock band already booked the venue years in advance for the 2025 August bank holiday weekend. One of the best-selling music acts of all time, they are also the first group in Spotify history to reach 100 million monthly listeners. Who is Coldplay? Alright, 26 clues are down and only one separates you from becoming the ultimate WrestleTrivia champion. By the way, if you like this video, please once again subscribe to this channel to watch every episode of Wrestling Jeopardy, and it's free. Alright, let's find out now what this episode's final Jeopardy category is. I want my MTV. Alright, time is up. Here is your multiple choice final Jeopardy clue. Snow Brawl was a WCW event that aired in 1999 during MTV's Snowed In Week and featured a battle royal won by what wrestler? Was it A. Billy Kidman, B. Booker T, C. Bryan Adams, or D. Conan? You have 15 seconds. Good luck. Now, Snow Brawl itself was a simple enough concept, a battle royal that consisted of just 7 wrestlers. The winner would receive a small trophy with a plastic snowflake glued on it. In the end, it was Bryan Adams who won the match. Well, maybe because his name was Bryan Adams and there was a Bryan Adams the Rocker, so at least MTV could brag that Bryan Adams won a wrestling match? I have no idea. And that does it for another episode of Wrestling Jeopardy. Thanks again so much for watching. My name is Kevin J. Callis, and I'll see you next time.